All right, so my spoiler talk here about He-Man Masters of the Universe. Um, First thing that comes to mind, Man of Arms. When the beginning of the movie, he is an absolute savage. Action, it go right away. I go, okay, this action is going to be amazing in this movie because of his action scene at the beginning. Then when they jump ahead and he's a drunk failure, and he doesn't really grow out of that state, that is something that definitely disappointed me about the movie. Seeing what he was and then seeing him down, that wasn't really a problem. The fact that he was down on himself because of his failures and Eternia has been taken over, no problem there. I do wish, though, that there was a little bit more of that development. And this is where the emotion that got lost in the comedy kind of was a bummer. But he should have developed back into the Savage Man of Arms. Eventually, while he's kind of a drunk, bumbling idiot, he gets in his outfit again and he's kind of back. And so the story there could have been better. Let's see. I would say, like I said in my non-spoiler review, some of the jokes were really funny, right? Really funny. I think the stuff at the beginning where he's on Earth and he's kind of like this almost kid in a man's body that's some of the funnier parts of the movie for sure. I think the beginning, especially, it really gets you in that comedy thing, right? As you're preparing for him to be He-Man. And so, as that's happening, very funny, enjoyable. One little issue with that, which is where the jokes start to not hit, I'd say later in the movie, is he doesn't really lose that part of himself. Not that he needs to completely change, but once he becomes He-Man, there's still parts of him that feel like he's Prince Adam on Earth still, even though he's kind of at a point where he needs to evolve, right? Prince Adam and He-Man are kind of one and the same, but also different. I think they do that fairly well, but there's definitely moments where it's like, okay, we're at the end of the movie now. Like, we're still kind of acting like Prince Adam, bumbling idiot on Earth. And that, I think, is where, like I said, some of that comedy takes a step back. There's not much to spoil, really, about the movie. There's nothing that, nothing that happens that's crazy in the movie. I guess jumping around, the end of the movie is not... It's interesting what they're kind of doing, right? Because in the cartoon, it's almost like a parody of He-Man at times, because they kind of make fun of He-Man as a show, right? Because in the show, Prince Adam his secret of being He-Man is actually hidden, right? Kind of like Clark Kent's Superman. Prince Adam's pretty obviously, right, for people watching the cartoons, he's very obviously He-Man, but in the show, in the original cartoon, he's not known by many people. And so in this, they kind of make fun of that. They're like, oh yeah, he's going to go run off and change into He-Man again. He doesn't know that. We all know. And it's kind of a weird joke because it's like, doesn't everyone kind of know he's He-Man because of the way the movie approached him turning into He-Man? But then they're also making fun of the show. So I don't know. It's just for comedy relief, right? And that's where it lives and dies on comedy. There's lots of funny parts. There's parts that are confusing or kind of weird. Mostly funny. I'd say majority hit, but there's moments where it doesn't as much. Characters that didn't work for me as much. Sorceress, we didn't get a lot of Sorceress, but the actress that plays her, right, from Deadpool, the love interest in Deadpool, she does not, I don't think she sells it as like a wise sorceress that knows of Eternia and like secrets of Grayskull and things like that. So I don't know if she really worked. Granted, she didn't have a big role either. But we'll see. This movie does leave off with sequel hints of She-Ra and Skeletor returning. So we'll see if there's more development there. But at least from what we got here, I don't think she's like the greatest version of Sorceress ever. Teela's a fun side character. Her character just doesn't go anywhere. There's conflicts with her in Man of War, or Man of Arms. And... that doesn't really go anywhere. They resolve it, but it's just kind of like, hey, they're cool now. There's not like a actual evolution you watch happen. I really enjoyed. There's jokes about Ram Man in the movie, which are just very funny. Ram Man and Fisto, and those are some of the funnier moments of the movie. The side characters are really enjoyable. One side character as well that didn't work as much is Evelyn with Skeletor. It feels like they should be some type of dynamic duo that play off of each other, and it doesn't really do that. She's just kind of there with him, and right, he beats her up, or holds on to her and burns her and things like that. Gets frustrated with her, but her character doesn't really go anywhere beyond that. I'm glad that he didn't go back to Earth or anything like that. They didn't stick around on Earth very long. He was there, the comedy relief was there, but it didn't go anywhere besides, hey, we're off to Eternia, and that's like what we want to watch, and that's what they give us. So I'm really happy about that. Near the end of the movie, the kind of mix-ins of the soundtrack in this with a little bit of the soundtrack from the cartoon was really good. And in general, like I said, the soundtrack, in my non-spoiler, the soundtrack's one of the better parts of the movie for sure. I don't think we got enough of an idea in the movie of how desperate Eternia was, right? So behind me, you can't see it, but I have an omnibus of He-Man, and it's actually comic stories, and those get really detailed and deep, and you watch his characters, all these characters develop. And you see Skeletor take over at times and watch Eternia struggle. We don't really get a lot of that. It's just like, hey, Eternia's been in struggle, He-Man returns, and we pretty quickly get on with like the fighting and the revolution. There isn't like a struggle or a war that we watch or anything like that. And so the movie feels like it goes really fast, but also slows down a little bit in the middle. So the pacing's a little odd. But I think for me, it's those two beginning and ends that are best parts. Beginning mostly because the comedy's hitting the most, and then the end, and then we get a little bit of He-Man, and then the end with He-Man, Skeletor, their conflict is really good. The action's really great. But let's see. But that middle part, it just slows down. That's the parts with Drunk Duncan or Man of Arms, and it slows down quite a bit post the first time Adam becomes He-Man, because that's really cool. But other than that, in the middle section, it's kind of slow. I think what I thought while watching it is that it was like it's very sci-fi action comedy, just like Thor. And I said in my non-spoiler review, very similar to Thor. I thought Thor: Love and Thunder, right? That one's really way too far in the comedy realm and doesn't hit as many comedy jokes. So it's like a better version of that. It's like somewhere between Thor: Ragnarok and Thor: Love and Thunder. And so it lives and dies by that. The comedy's fun sometimes it's just too much berating of comedy, and if the jokes aren't hitting, then it brings down the experience. They didn't show much with She-Ra in the end credit scene. They just show her. Okay, she's there. We do get Orko, I believe, so that's fun. He's there. I was wondering where he was at, so it's cool to see him there. The conflict itself with Skeletor, it's really just, I want all the power. So if you're looking for anything deeper than that, it's not there. Granted, in the cartoon, is pretty much the same way. Like, he just wants power, right? But he's doing things to gain it. Here, it's more just like, I want to take down the sword, because that's my only threat. But in general, I think that's really kind of it, that all I can kind of sit here and digest and think about with the movie. Really, while I was sitting there watching it, action was great. I loved it. Loved the action. Super, super good. It was really crisp, I guess is what I could say. And powerful. Felt the action is very powerful. Not as much finesse, just power. But I was really entertained. I had a good time. The beginning kind of got me excited for where the story would go. It didn't really go anywhere, so that kind of bummed me out a little bit. But it was still just a fun, dumb comedy action movie. Doesn't go deeper than that, right? So if you guys have any thoughts or spoilers that maybe I didn't mention that would have been a good discussion, just let me know in the comments. But other than that, that's my spoiler thoughts, some of the more details of the movie, kind of here to discuss with you guys. But that's all I got for you. Enjoy. See you next time for the next movie. you.